to another Jeff Walker Books discussion. You'll have to forgive me for today. I'm just trying to recover. Unfortunately, I had the COVID. I got COVID. I had all my shots, so I was doing better than I thought I would. My wife would not so much, but and my kids got it. And so that's where we are today. So if I sound a little off or a little sniffly, that's just me still trying to get over the results. It's pretty nasty stuff, COVID. I recommend that you all have shots for this thing because it could have been much, much worse. In any case, today we're going to be discussing the what's going on with Trek. Yeah, Star Trek today. I thought I'd not go into franchises and discuss them, but lately it's been coming more and more, and unfortunately I've been on Twitter a lot and all the other social medias, and I see what's going on in some of the trailers. First off, I just like to say that I'm a big fan of Trek. I wouldn't say I'm like a hardcore Trek fan, but I'm well enough versed in the Star Trek lore that it means something to me, and as much as Star Wars does. But Star Wars is another topic for another time. And I think I've already made my feelings clear on Star Wars. In any case, today I just want to talk about what's going on with Trek, because lately it's become a mess. I don't know what direction they're trying to take this Trek into. It's all over the board, and quite frankly, I think it's a poor mismanagement of the franchise, to be honest. It's worse than it was for when Enterprise came out. Everybody was so against Enterprise when it first came out with Scott Bakula. Oh, they thought it was horrible, but now it's even worse, because now there's tons of these shows. You got Picard, which I'm sorry to say that it was not living up to expectations. My wife and I watched the first season, and we were just utterly not impressed with it at all, because none of the characters act like they're supposed to. And now there's swearing and all this other stuff, and this was meant to be for families to sit down and enjoy, not just for certain privileged adults that feel like I should be able to hear people's cursing in the future. Well, who's to say that'll happen in the future? And if it does, it'll have to be very limited. The whole reason for Star Trek was that it was supposed to be enlightenment beyond what we are now. Unfortunately, all the shows like Star Trek Discovery, Picard, now you got Strange New Worlds coming in. I mean, all these shows are just limiting the writing to something that means things today. Well, we don't want the little things for today. You can do it in a context that's futuristic, but to sit there and pinpoint things that are going on today, it's just preaching. And it happened in Doctor Who as well. They started preaching in Doctor Who, and it became crap. People don't want that. People want entertainment. People want elements of fantasy, of things that are not of today, kind of like issues and stuff like that. This is why in Star Trek it was more subtle. In the original series, maybe even in the Next Generation, it was more toned down, but you got the message, despite all that. But you didn't target certain people or certain groups or try to say, well, you shouldn't do this because you're white. And, this doesn't mean people want to see that kind of stuff. Now, in Star Trek Discovery, the Klingons changed dramatically. First off, never do that. Never do a dramatic 180 on a series that people have known for so long. And then totally just mess up the whole continuity of their origin. And to me, it just... I understand that maybe he tried to do that, J.J. Abrams tried to do that in Star Trek Into Darkness when he brought the Klingons back. He was going to make them more of a Norse kind of looking species, which is fine. I don't care. But I mean, the movies were just. I didn't hate them, and I didn't like them. It was just. It was a movie, but it's not like the movies had any meaning like the other movies did. So we didn't care for anything that happened. I mean, there was more action stuff going on. And I think that was the whole point. They kept saying that, oh, Star Trek is so boring. No, it's not. Star Trek is about, science fiction as it should be. The fact that they tried to incorporate these problems or make it darker, and it's like, no, that wasn't the whole point of it. The point of it is that we went from that darkness into something more positive. And I don't see that in today's Trek. I see nothing but negatives. Negative this, negative that. People arguing with their main commanders, and that's fine for a few episodes or something like that, but not all the time. And it was happening constantly in this new Trek. And I can't stand that. I hate to see Trek get bogged down into something that it's not. I mean, that's fine for other space shows. I mean, even Babylon 5, they didn't argue that much with the main guy, like it was just like, I don't understand. Something that's missing from the writing of today is the lack of respect. And that's what it is. And it's, I don't know, it's this whole woke movement has kind of subverted some of the main messages to it. They try to say, oh, nothing like that ever happened in the 90s or 80s. Like, I get it. 80s, it was a little bit difficult for women. And maybe some of the 90s as well. And we're trying to progress from that. And it's, you don't have to fling it in the face. Gradual messaging does work. They kind of put that in the shows in the 80s and 90s. And it was a way to progress it on its way, but not so much that it's going to be annoying. It's hard to say, because Star Trek should be more focused on the story than it should be on the messaging. I hate that. I don't enjoy the messaging. I want to get into the nitty-gritty of the story and characters. Now, in Strange New Worlds that's coming out, you're going to get characters that, frankly, I don't think were in the Star Trek universe to begin with. I've got Noonien Singh's great-great-granddaughter or something shoved in there, and I'm like going, when did she come into play? I don't understand why you've got to have, like, Noonien Singh throughout the entire continuity of the Star Trek genre, which it's getting a bit overdone. I mean, they did that in Picard, too. They shoved in the greatest ancestor of Noonien Singh in there, and a Picard that was a girl that did all these amazing things. And I'm like going, ugh. It's, yes, we know you're trying to make her sound important. And, she could be important without doing all this stuff. I don't know what it is about trying to shove these women characters as the most amazing thing ever. They can be amazing. They don't have to be, like, so overdone that you just can't believe them. And that's what's happening. They're shoving in female characters that, you could write them really well, but you don't have to make them so ultra amazing, awesome, that they overshadow everybody else. It's just, to me, that's just grandstanding, and it's just, it irritates me to see characters push that far. Even male characters that were like, oh, I can do everything, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, that's terrible. Writing 101, don't make the character more grandiose than life. I kind of do that in my Professor Dark series, but he'll have flaws in my character. He'll have eccentricities that will manifest as the books go along. But I'm not going to make him like the most smartest guy ever. Like, well, he'll be smart, but he won't know everything. Flaws are what makes a character, but not too many that we won't sit there and go, oh, well, what do we have them for? So, in Star Trek, things are progressing badly. Now there's an animated series, 2 animated series. One's a sort of, I want to say, Futurama kind of spin, which, I watched some and I found it awful. Like, who is watching this? That's what gets me. It's like, who is watching these shows? It can't be too big of an audience, because some of the writing is awful. Just absolutely awful. Star Trek Discovery sucks. It really sucks. I don't find it interesting at all. I find it's like the most pompous crap writing show ever, with so many characters that you couldn't care less for. And then you've got Picard, which they've totally destroyed the characters. And 7 of 9's in there. Why is she in there? She doesn't even know Picard. Like, when did they ever meet? They don't tell you about any of that stuff. And it's like they throw these things in there like, oh, here's a character you know. Here's a character you know. Here's a character you know. And it's like, give us some backstory. Give us something. Give us something to ease into this. But no, they rush it in. They push the story forward. And they make it one big, long show now. Boring. Now, Strange New Worlds hasn't come out yet. So I don't know what it's like. But it's in the same universe as Star Trek Discovery, which I absolutely hated. I have no misgivings about the show. It may be good because they're going to try to make it episodic, but at the same time, I know it's going to suck because they're going to shove that agenda stuff in there, and I hate it. Don't have them talk stupid. It's just, I can't stand it. It's Trek has fallen into this abyss that I don't really care for. I miss the days when you could actually think with a show, or make a show like the show makes you think afterwards. Babylon 5 did that a lot, and I loved Babylon 5. I respected that show so much. I couldn't care less if some of the effects didn't work out that well. The fact is that the characters are spot on. The writing was spot on. So that show was amazing for that alone. And then, now we've got these shows. But I mean, even when Enterprise with Scott Bakula came on, where it was pre-Federation era, even that wasn't too bad that, it overshadowed anything. And to me, that was all right. I could understand they were trying something new. At least they tried something new without having to rely on old characters. But then they went and did the Noonien Singh thing. And that got me. I couldn't say that was my best episodes I liked. Then now it's like they've gone into the Mirror Darkly kind of flipped universe, and you can overplay that. You really can, and I think they've overplayed it a lot. Time travel, that it's just so much. I can't deal with it. Even Q doesn't act like Q anymore. Now that he's in Picard, he's lost his powers, but then again, he's gotten more serious. He's not the fun-loving Q that we saw in the Next Generation, or the one that was, a mischievous god kind of like thing. So I miss that. I'm not impressed with what's going on with Star Trek today. It's really, really bizarre what they're doing. Will they get back to it? I don't know, to be honest with you. Strange New World's going to come out. Now they've also launched Season 3 of Picard. Season 2 of Picard hasn't even finished yet, and now they're touting number 3. What's going on? Why are you shoving that out there so fast? Nobody's seen the series yet. You're putting out stuff that nobody wanted in the first place. It's horrible. Like, I don't want to see them all cursing and telling where their mother should go and that kind of thing. It's like, it's a miserable Trek. It's not happy Trek anymore. It's miserable. And I think, who do I have to blame for that but the guy that's producing it, Kurtzman? I think he's just absolutely lost in what the franchise is all about. I know this sounds more like ranting, but maybe it is. But if you're going to develop a show around a franchise, you have to know the franchise. Just simply shoving in things that, kind of like thing, and remember this, it just doesn't cut it. You have to have something behind it. And there's nothing behind these throw-ins. It's like he's just giving the fans little tidbits and saying, there, see, I'm meeting you halfway. No, I don't like that, to be honest. I can't wait for this NuTrek, as everybody keeps calling it, the NuTrek. I can't wait for this whole thing to die out, because I'd really like to get back to where it was. I don't mean restart it. Well, maybe I do, but maybe restart it with something a little bit less annoying. Certainly don't backtrack to the future and try to correct future problems. They try to do that with Star Trek Discovery, and it's awful. So anyway, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that they need to create a new beginning for the Star Trek series. Now they're kind of doing that with Strange New Worlds, but not really, because as I said, that is not a continuation. That is not like a reboot at all to me. That is like part of that same universe, and I want to get rid of that universe. We'll kill that universe, give it something new. But you know what? I think it's been overplayed too much, and now everybody's tired of Star Trek. The same goes for the Star Wars. They've kind of killed that a bit. And they keep trying to resurge it by giving some fans some much love, but then they yank it away from them. I don't know where any of these franchises are going. I don't know why they're so hell-bent on killing these franchises. Why? Why are they so afraid of, these icons? They're all trying to destroy the icons, as if they're problematic. They're not. They're there for a reason. We like, role models. And they're saying, well, there's only certain role models for certain people. Well, then create a new role model. Don't try to turn one role model into something that you want to be. You can't do that with people. You can't do that with people. I understand these are fictional people, but imagine if that was a real person. You'd say, oh, I'm going to change you into something you shouldn't be. What? Why? You don't like it? You become the role model. You do something. I'm getting tired of this, to be honest with you. It makes me angry to watch this stuff unfold the way it is. I mean, you got Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who. Now it's like Batman's getting into that same category, and all the other superheroes in the comic books. And it's just like, why? Why can't people come up with their own ideas and start their own thing? They've got to take an existing character and bend it to their whim. No. Leave the characters as they are. They've been established. They're there. You don't like it? Create your own. That's what it should be. Create your own character, nothing even remotely related to that, and come up with your own idea for that sort of thing and start a new... Like, these people had the idea originally. Do you think they just were there, and then suddenly everybody's like, well, I'm entitled to that too? It's like, no. These people came up with an idea. It was their creation, their character. They know them inside and out. I honestly think that's an insult to the person that created the character in the first place. That's like destroying them. And just because you don't like it, well, too bad. You didn't create the character. Stop trying to turn something into something of your own image. It's not. It's somebody else's image. It's somebody else's idea. Create your own idea and stop borrowing and tweaking other people's idea. Even in fan fiction, people do this. But it's fan fiction. To me, that's all it is. When I see this stuff, I think it's fan fiction. It's unbelievable when I look at some of the stuff that comes out. Like the whole Discovery thing was an absolute chaotic mess. And I don't understand why they think that was a great show. It's not. I don't know who's watching that show, to be honest with you, because it's obviously not me and a whole lot of other Star Trek watchers, and I can't imagine they have that big of a following. The ratings are absolutely horrendous for this show. I've been looking at some of the statistics for it, and it's at the bottom, very bottom of all these other shows. It's who's making? Why are they making this? What is this for? Other than as a means of putting something on their CBS channel or whatever, the Paramount Plus or whatever it is. I think it's terrible. I think it's absolutely terrible. So Star Trek to me is over right now. I might want to see what Strange New Worlds brings, but I am not hopeful. It looks so overly done. I hate the whole brightness of the damn bridge. There's lights everywhere, like a J.J. Abrams overly done Star Trek. And it's dark in some spots. So you sit there and you go, well, where's the good lighting? Where, would a bridge actually look like this? In a submarine? Or I don't know. This is my gripe about it. So I think Star Trek's just gone in a route that I cannot go. And I can't wait for when it comes back to somewhere I can follow. It may never do that. I don't know. I honestly think these people destroy this on purpose to go, oh, you don't need this. We're moving beyond that. No. I write books. I write stories that I want to go on an adventure on, and I want people to come with me. And that's what Gene Roddenberry did. He created a story where he thought of stuff, and then he thought, I'd like people to come and join me on this adventure. Not dictate to me about my adventure that I'm sending them on. It's an interesting fact. I don't know. The Trek isn't the Trek anymore. Star Wars isn't Star Wars anymore. Doctor Who isn't Doctor Who anymore. It's bizarre to me. And then now people are starting to categorize people again. When they wanted that to stop, and yet now it's come back to where they're starting to. The people that we used to categorize are turning around and trying to categorize normal people, like cis male or whatever the heck that's supposed to mean now. It's like, Jesus, man. We're all going to be categorized again. We're all separating again. That's what, they've been fighting against. There's no... You shouldn't be able to do that. It's just bizarre. I don't know where we're all going. What's going to happen. There's a war going on in the Ukraine with Russia. Russia's becoming totalitarian. And, we've got this COVID still going on, and people are trying to rise up against wearing masks or getting vaccinated. Even in Apple employees are protesting because they don't want to go back to working in an office. Seriously? I don't understand. The world's gone bizarre, bonkers, man. Something happened. I feel like somebody flipped on a switch and flip the universe into another reality or something. That's what it feels like to me. I feel like at the year 2000, something happened. We slipped into another dimension or something, and time's not exactly going the way we thought it would. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like another alternate reality is encrypted into our own. And I'm the only one that, my wife and I are the only ones who feel like that's what's going on. So. I guess I'm trying to say that I'm not enjoying the Trek. I'm not enjoying Picard. Picard doesn't thrill me at all. I don't like where it went with that character. They turned him into an android. And then when he put him in an alternate universe, he was still an android. I still don't understand that. And then they made him old. why wouldn't they have given him a younger, new body? That way they could replace Picard with somebody else. But instead, they gave him an old body. It doesn't make sense. Why would you want an old android Picard? That's so stupid. I don't get this show at all. Oh, man. It is a twisted reality we're living in. Hopefully, things will turn around. Somebody somewhere will say, this is enough of this shit. Let's do something else. Let's go back and fix the formula the way it was. Because doing it this way is just utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. So, that's my tirade about Star Trek. Where is it? It's gone. I don't know where it is now. It's certainly not on TV anymore. I miss the days of the Klingons of as they were. A lot of kids today are rewatching some of the older shows and going, "Oh, these were much better." And it's like, yes, they were. And it's like this generation didn't understand that something came before all this. And they go, "Oh, because we're fighting it now, and you guys were kind of fighting it back then." It's like, yeah, did you not realize that? Like, did you not watch the shows? Of course not. This generation is bizarre because it's like nothing happened prior to 2000, as if they lost their memory from that generation back. Like, they didn't know that we were fighting certain things. They didn't know about all. I said, see, there's so much information that they don't want to learn. It's like misinformation era. Like they're all listening to the Trumps and not enough about our own history. It's yeah. So I'm surprised that Star Trek is careening itself into something I don't know. It's like driving down a highway at full speed with nothing to stop you, and I don't know where they're going to go from here. But I hope they end it soon, because I'd like to get back to actually good science fiction TV shows. They're so rare, and when they do happen, they cancel them. Shows like Dark Matter, and that was a good science fiction show, and then they canceled it because it wasn't doing well, budget wise or something, and that's how it always happens. It's like, well, the viewership's not there. Well, because they put them in awful time slots, and they don't advertise it enough, and they don't generate enough awareness. They expect the fans to come to them. So, I don't know. For now, I guess I'm just not interested in Star Trek. Not interested in Doctor Who. Not interested in, of all things, Star Wars. It was my love for Star Wars. I mean, I'm trying to hold on for that show. The Mandalorian did a great job in trying to recapture some of that, but I think they're starting to wane on it a bit, which is sad to me. So I guess that's my thought of the day, my little discussion about Star Trek, and I'm just not impressed with it. Picard shouldn't be Picard anymore. He's getting too old. They all are getting too old. I mean, season 3 is going to be all the Next Generation cast. Well, then why wouldn't you just call that the Next Generation again or something? I don't know. If it's, see, this is the problem. They're throwing people, throwing events, throwing little tidbits for fans to salivate to, and there's no substance behind it. And that's my biggest gripe. There's not enough concentrated effort in producing quality anymore. None. It's all about just throwing it in and enjoying the benefits from whatever happens, and which was barely anything. I still don't understand how Picard got a season 3. Nobody's watching that damn show. Everybody hates it. It's awful. Like Star Trek Discovery is awful. Star Trek Picard is awful. I'm guessing Star Trek New Worlds might just be a little bit awful. That might be watchable, passable somewhat, but probably not as much as Enterprise was. Enterprise was a little bit more bearable than that. And I liked Enterprise. I didn't see a big problem with it. It had some really bad episodes, but what show didn't? It really didn't start finding its ground until its third season. And that's the problem. Even the Next Generation, for the first 2 seasons, it was having a tough time maintaining a balance of some sort. And then by the third season, it did. They got better writers, they got better designers, they got better at doing the show. This show's, no. They didn't get better at anything. It's still the crappiest crap. You'd think, at this day and age, with so many good writers, they couldn't produce quality. But no, nothing. So there you go. Alright, well, that's enough for that. I guess that's my little rant about Star Trek and where it's going and when it's not going. So the next time I'll come back and update you again about what I'm doing. I'm in the middle of writing a book. I think I've talked about it before, about being in it's like the Jungle Planet. You can see it on Wattpad and Inkit. It's developing pretty good, and I really want to push that out because I want it out of my head, and then I'll get back to writing the other stories that I've promised so much. It's hard being a writer sometimes because when ideas pop in your head, you want to get it over with. Otherwise, you start to wane. I've got a few stories that I started, I really wanted to finish them, and then I just kind of, I went on to the next one because, once you start getting distracted from that or missing out on writing, you tend to latch on to other things, which I shouldn't do. I should try to get back to some of this stuff. So I think I'll do that now. Thank you very much. This has been Jeff Walker Book Discussion. I hope you enjoy the show, and we'll talk again later. Bye for now. This has been a Jeff Walker's Books Discussion. If you like this program, please subscribe. And if you want to read more of his books, The Long Lost War, The Massive Planet, The Mysterious World of Professor Dark and Miss Shadow, please visit his website at jeffwalkerbooks.weebly.com. Please, if you feel the need to review one of his books, he would be ever so grateful that you would. You may go and visit it on Amazon or anywhere else where books are now available.